Welcome again to Strictly Baseball right here on Radio Troy Digital Sports. The Quakers off this entire week until Saturday when they travel to Anderson to take on the Ravens in a doubleheader. We'll talk more about that matchup coming up in just a few moments. Quakers lose 2 at Franklin this past weekend, a very good Franklin baseball team, and we found out, too, a very good hitting baseball team as well. Steve SAKOSITS joins us again this week, and go back to Saturday. I had a chance to watch a little bit, not as much as I would have liked to, but just give me your assessment of what you saw. And again, it was just one of those days the bats weren't there, and they really hit the ball well.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they're very good at hitting ball club. When we had our opportunities, we took advantage of it. We ran the bases well. We stole a bunch of bases that day. We had situations where we had bases loaded or second and third in certain innings, and our situational hitting didn't come through. And what I mean by situational hitting is we could have scored runs with outs, and we didn't take advantage of those opportunities. And, we're not a team that's going to be able to slug with a team like Franklin right now. We're going to have to take our runs. And honestly, if we would have been able to chip away here or there in some of their runs, we would have put a little more pressure on them. But we weren't able to do those types of things, and they kept adding on, and really it was based off of 3 innings. They had a 6-run inning, a 7-run inning, a 4-run inning. If you take those innings away, we did a pretty good job of shutting them down to less than a run or no runs in certain innings, and the games would have been different there. Yeah. We did see some things we liked, but we also need to do a little bit better job. On the day, a team that has 30-something home runs, they hit 1 home run and had 2 doubles, hit 3 extra base hits on the day for both games. They were able to find holes and get some hits and timely hits, and we gave them opportunities when you can't do that. You can't give extra outs to a team that's that good at hitting. So you can't, kick the baseball around. You can't walk guys. You can't hit guys. You can't do those types of things when the team is that good offensively, which they were. And hats off to them. They beat us fair and square on that part. We got with our team on practice on Monday, and we told our guys. I was probably more excited to get back with our guys on Monday than I had been at any point during the year to get back and work with our guys and to make sure our guys had the right mindset that this was just one weekend. We'll learn from it, but we'll wash it from our minds on what we did there. And honestly, we take it back to the 2016 season. We went to Transylvania. We lost 2 on a Saturday, got rained out on the Sunday, but we really weren't in those games in the weekend. We ended up playing Transylvania in the first round of the conference tournament, beat them in that game, and then ended up knocking them out of the tournament, which pushed us in the championship game in 16. So we kind of told our guys the same thing. We want to hope to get that team again. We got to get into the postseason to have that opportunity. But in the past, when we've kind of had our butts kicked a little bit, we've been able to respond. And so I want to make sure our kids do that. And I'm excited, and our staff is excited to work with our guys. And I know our energy this week has been good. And the positive to say, hey, we got a lot of stuff in front of us. The teams that we still play are the teams that, if we handle our business, we're going to be where we want to be.
You bet. Yeah, so much still has to happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got 6 conference games left. And really, if we, as I said, we control our own destiny. If we take care of ours, we don't have to worry about anybody in front of us or behind us. We'll be where we want to be at the end.
You look at the big innings they had, and as you said, those were the key innings. And that doesn't happen to your ball club very often, does it?
No, but I mean, that's where I want to see how we respond on that because we haven't faced that yet this year. And as a coach, you want to see how your team does come back from situations that they haven't seen. So when we go against Anderson, we've had a nice week this week to work on things. We're going to get out and scrimmage a little bit today, and we'll have Thursday and Friday to kind of work on some things as well and get ourselves ready mentally to go out and play Anderson. And it goes back to what we've taught from day one. It's not really what Anderson's going to do or Transylvania or Manchester who we play the rest of the year. It's what we do.
Right.
And if we play our game, we don't give up the big inning. We dictate counts on the pitching staff. We go ahead and put base runners on. We've been shown that we are going to be able to win when we do those things, and we consistently do those things. So we just got to give ourselves opportunity. More often than not, we'll come through with a big hit. We have done it this year.
Oh, yeah.
As I told our guys, we got to chip away, though, on those leads because when we've been close games late in the game, that's where we've been able to win. When we're that far away, we just don't have an offense that in the 8th, 9th inning can put up an 8 or 9 spot in one inning.
When you mentioned the team and you had energy this week, which I thought was a great comment on your part, that a lot of teams may take that and from a standpoint of getting beat like they did over the weekend and not come back with that energy. So you see a positive in this, and sometimes it does take a loss here or there to get a positive, though nobody likes to lose, but that's nice to see your team coming back the way they did.
And that's, as a coach, you want to see what your team's made of, and I really believe that with our leadership and the guys that we have in this team. We weren't ever to the point where it was pushing a panic button. It was, okay, they got us this time. Let's go ahead and get ourselves right so we can face them the next time.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I'll tell you what, here, I make notes once in a while. I just want to get everybody up to date. Franklin now 11-1. Anderson is 9-1. You get them this weekend. We'll talk about that. You're 7-5. Manchester 6-6. Rose 6-7. Bluffton 5-7. When you look everywhere from even 2 all the way down through Mount St. Joe, I tell you what, when you talk about 6 games remaining in the conference season, this whole thing could look a lot different here in the next week or so.
Absolutely. That's why we just got to worry about what we do. We can't have to worry about what other teams are doing. If we go out and handle our business, we're going to be there at the end. And all that matters is getting in. We'd like to be, obviously, towards the top of that part of it. But, again, we just got to get in and go out and, play our type of baseball.
Yeah, you see so many, and we'd love to host, and I know that's something else we like. In fact, I enjoyed it so much last year. It kind of grows on you a little bit. You want to see all the great baseball. But the bottom line is you just don't know what's going to happen in a tournament, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, I mean, the goal is to get in, and we think that our guys are just as good as anybody else's guys that are out there. And, it's going to be a tough tournament with 5 teams. It's the first time we've had a 5-team tournament, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But, again, just go out there, play our game, and we want to worry about the tournament once we get in there. So right now we just got to worry about Anderson and, go ahead and, focus on inning 1, pitch 1 of that first game against Anderson.
Before we take a break and talk about Anderson, this week is unusual, as we talked about before. You don't play at all this week. You had the one game canceled, so you're not making that game up. So you go the whole week. Do you like the idea of now, in the situation you're in, of not playing this week and preparing, or would you rather have had a game in here somewhere?
Probably in the future, I'd rather have a game, and I wouldn't like to have the full week off. But I like it for this week that we're focused solely on Anderson. We're not focused on a game in the midweek to then go put our focus on Anderson. We're focused on right now getting ourselves ready to go out and compete at Anderson against a team that's very good, and getting ourselves right on what we have to do. Getting back to the situational hitting. Understand that I'm not trying to do too much in a situation where if there's a runner on the third base, less than 2 outs, I get a fly ball, I score a run, I've done my job. And we've just got to get back to that part of it. We've gotten our opportunities. We steal some bases. I mean, we're first in the conference, we're third in the country on that part of it. So we do our part there. We just got to make sure when we get those guys in scoring position, we're bringing them in.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about this weekend, the Ravens and Earlham going head-to-head from Anderson. I'll remind you again, that will be at their place again on Saturday. We'll talk about that coming up next right here on Strictly Baseball and Radio Troy Digital Sports.
For the past 35 years, Van Vliet Insurance has built a reputation of bringing a personal touch. That's because at Van Vliet, it's all about you, your needs, your life, and our town. Along with providing quality coverage to individuals, families, and local businesses, we're proud of our community and the opportunity we have to protect your future within it. Van Vliet Insurance, an Erie Insurance representative. Hometown professionals at work for you.
Back once again on Strictly Baseball. The Quakers on the road at Anderson on Saturday. I looked at their numbers, not as good as Franklin. From a hitting standpoint, well over 300. From a pitching standpoint, their ERA is at 5. So their hitting has really carried them. I think they've won 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 9. So right now they're playing pretty good baseball.
Yeah, they are. They're a great team. They're playing a double dip against Bluffton today. So they'll play today, and we'll get a chance to see how they did today going into our games on Saturday. But really, I like our chances. They're a very good club. They bring back a lot of guys, and Coach Baird has done a great job over there of his first year of turning that program back to what it's expected to be and what it has been. But again, anybody we face, I've said this, Troy, is going to be good in the conference. So they could go out, they could win 2 against Bluffton today, they could lose 2. It's just a matter of who shows up and how those teams do.
From the hitting standpoint, when you look at those numbers, and again, I look at some of their players, and those numbers may be inflated a little bit over the last couple of games because they took 2 from Transylvania and they beat them pretty handily. Do you look at stats too much as a coach, or is it something you just say, I know a lot of coaches say I'm more concerned about what we do than what they do. How much do you look at stats on another team?
It just depends on what stats you're looking at. You'll look at the things like, do they run? You'll look at, do they sacrifice bunt? A lot of the stats you'll look at, how are they doing in conference compared to how they did out of conference? Are they hitting well now? For example, Anderson has 90-something doubles on the year, but 28 of them in conference. So it tells you really they had a lot of those out of conference there. But, really we can't just go there and just say, they're the Anderson team that we won the series against last year. If you do that, we're going to go ahead and lose those guys too. Yeah. So the same thing with the ERA. They're going to have a guy, Becker, who's their number 1. Mm-hmm. He's a pretty much a 1-to-1 strikeout to innings pitched ratio. He's going to be a good guy. And honestly, we just have to go out there and really put pressure on a team that tries to run a little bit, but how they haven't faced anybody that is like us running the bases. So we just go out and play our game and be successful.
Walter starts first game, and I know that from his outing this past Saturday. As you look at that, do you put very much stock in that? I know he gave up 7 runs, but only 3 earned runs in that whole equation there. Your thoughts about his start?
I mean, it goes back to, again, that Transylvania series 2 years ago. Walter got beat by Transylvania, came back the next week and threw really well, and then threw against Transylvania again in the conference tournament. He's a professional. Just like our guys go out there and they have to wash it. They learn from what they made mistake-wise, but they move on from it and they make the adjustments that they have to make. So I expect him to do that and be ready to go and not be dwelling on what happened against Franklin.
Yeah, if you do, you end up thinking about it too much. What about game 2?
Game 2, we're actually going to go with Colin Greavy. We're going to bring him back on that one. Colin, I thought, did really well in his start prior. Also, we think that Joey Gerbis, who will throw on Tuesday for us, also gives us an opportunity out of the bullpen. So we actually feel like we can get Joey in the next 3 conference series as opposed to only using him twice in the 2 starts he would have. So, but again, it's making ourselves deeper. We can't look ahead to anybody else. We're going to have our best available for this weekend at Anderson, play those games, and then reevaluate what we need to do for against Transylvania.
All right, down the backstretch, going to be a lot of fun. Coach, thank you as always.
No problem. Thank you, Troy.
All right, head coach Steve SAKOSITS again. The Quakers on the road at Anderson coming up on Saturday. We'll talk about more of it and, of course, down the backstretch next week right here on Strictly Baseball and Radio Troy Digital Sports.